Welcome to episode 41 of the Trash Talk Business Podcast. If you were in the demolition, deconstruction, dumpster hauling, junk removing, waste moving, porter servicing, and then, I don't know if that's really a verb. If you're doing those things, you want to grow, you want to scale, you want to get in, you want to get out, you've come to the right place. As always, I'm here with my good friend, partner in crime, hailing from Big D. That's right, Dallas, Texas. Casey Bubba Lawrence. What are we talking about today?
Man, well, today we got a guest, Andrew, or Andy, and we get to talk a little bit about what he does, why he does it, and where he's from. We're not going to talk about the Cowboys, that's for sure.
Got him. Let's talk about how about them Cowboys? Jacksonville.
Oh,
couldn't handle Jacksonville.
No.
Snuck in the playoffs. Snuck in. But you know what? That's fine. Anyways, all right, Andy. With respect to our guest, we're not going to talk about how great the Green Bay football Packers are going to be tonight, beating up on the LA Rams. I'll be at the game on the field during halftime. No big deal. No big deal. That's why I'm clean-shaven. For those of you listening only, I have a clean-shaven face. I look like a 12-year-old. I'm doing the Army thing. I'm going to do a re-enlistment ceremony on the field at halftime. About 3 degrees game time. So my nipples are already feeling cold. All right, Andy Barten, he's joining us. Veteran junk removal extraordinaire, 11 years in the business, New Jersey native. I don't know if he's a native of New Jersey. And a marketing god, or well, at least his wife is. Andy, welcome to the program.
Hey, thank you, fellas, for having me. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here.
All right. Awesome. All right, so let's talk. Let's talk about your junk removal history, how you got in, what you're up to. Give us the whole high-level overview.
So, as you guys, or at least as Andy knows, I was a Marine Corps veteran. I got out of the service, went to school, went to college in New York State, and it was going fine. Everything, I graduated. I did all that stuff, but during that process, I'm always looking for new opportunities, trying to figure out where I want to go in my life. I felt like, again, I'm sitting in school, I'm marking time, I want to get on with things. I did stay the course, but during that process, I had an opportunity. I found something online one night, drinking a few beers, about Syracuse University doing this program where they were sponsoring vets to go out to a VA conference, a Veterans Administration conference out in Detroit. I ended up applying. I wrote a quick essay there. They gave me an approval the next day. They flew me out there. Most of the conference was way over my head, but I had an opportunity to listen to Nick Freeman speak. You guys know Nick Freeman. He's one of the co-founders of College Hunks Hauling Junk. He was promoting his new book there at the time, Effortless Entrepreneur, and he was talking about how he got started and what he did, and it just resonated with me. I was like, man, this is literally like what I'm good at. This is my skill set. I can motivate people, and I'm willing to work. So I came home. I told my wife, hey, I think I want to give this a shot. I started researching. New Jersey is highly regulated, so there were not a lot of franchises, and we started it there in 2012.
Okay. So, independent owner operator. What's the name of your business? What's your size and scale for our audience?
So we have the name of the company is Barten Bros. We changed the name a little bit. It used to be Barten Bros. Junk and Cleanup. Now it's Barten Bros. Demolition, Junk Removal, Fencing, and Site Work. Just got some ancillary services we've added on to keep the staff moving. We employ 14 people.
Painting or mopping. I'm just kidding.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
But what happened was, as we scaled, I found I couldn't afford the down days. So I kept looking for things to add in that were kind of complementary to our skill set. So that's where it came from. Junk removal is still the basis of our business, and it's our primary advertiser. But I'll tell you what, we do 4 to 6 fences a month, and it fills in enough of those down days. I'm able to say, hey, guys, like the parts or material are back ordered. We could have them in a couple of weeks. And then if I catch a day in between, I just say, hey, listen, talk to the customer. Parts came in early. Material came in early. We can get to work. We'd love to come out and do it today, and nobody ever says no. So it allows us to fill in those days.
Pretty profitable too, right?
Yeah, it's got good margin. We've gotten substantially better at it. So that's it. But otherwise, we employ 14 people, and we have, I guess, 4 Isuzu NPRs. We have 2 hook lifts, 25 containers, a couple different trailers, and then some New Jersey stuff. We're on the New Jersey coast, so we have a boat trailer. We do a lot of old boats. Occasionally we'll do a car moving, that sort of thing, junk cars.
But that's you're doing a lot of things that we typically talk about not doing in junk removal, especially for people that getting going, right? I get people all the time that hit me up. They're like, hey, why don't you snowplow, especially this time of year? And I get twitchy about it. So I'd like to dig into this a little bit. So I'd like hearing another perspective, right? So you talk about how you're doing fencing. So it's good that you make junk removal your priority, and obviously you have commercial work laying around or residual work laying around with fencing. So talk to me. How does that work with your teams? How do you get guys that can do multiple things so you can have these multiple lines of business revolved around junk removal?
I mean, I think it's all training, and I think again, in the beginning, this wasn't how it was. We would do a lot of junk removal. Wintertime would come, as I'm sure you guys are familiar. Well, Casey's down in Texas, but you're up north. And when it gets cold out, junk removal slows down. So we kind of started out with demolition. It was junk removal and demolition for quite a while. But we had opportunities to take on bigger jobs. I think you also have to remember we started in 2012. That 2008 financial crisis had just hit. We had a lot of opportunity with foreclosures and stuff like that. The problem we had initially were they were big jobs. We would go out and stop and see the banks. We'd see the realtors. We'd and by we I really mean me at that time. But I'd get dressed in a suit. I'd go talk to these guys. I'd get the jobs, and then all of a sudden the job would come in. And they're like, holy shit, this is 120 yards, and they want it done by tomorrow. And,
Actually, let's speak of that. We're in a recession. I'm not going to play fuck games when it comes to words, right? We are in a recession. The economy's on a downturn. You've been in. I got in 2009 with the economy in the downturn. You got in 12, right? Do you see that happening again with a lot of foreclosures coming up here in the next couple of years?
I don't think it's going to be as bad as it was, but I do think it's going to hit. And I'll tell you what, from a business perspective, I'm excited for it. Obviously, I'm on this podcast. Yeah. I'm interested in helping anybody in the industry that's serious and wants to do this. But I do think for the last couple of years, everybody's been able to get in because it's been low-hanging fruit. The work's been easy. The opportunity's been out there.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see some of these guys start to wash out and find out who the real players are.
Well, because I think you're going to see those that race to the bottom, they're going to either A, stay there, or B, they're going to cease to exist because now you're going to see other people coming in that have these relationships, that have these, I guess you could say, strategies. Like you said, hey, you got the business, but then you're like, holy shit, I can't even do the jobs at some point because they're so big. Mm-hmm. And that happens a lot. You'll see companies get called to finish someone else's work. And I used to hate those kind of calls because, well, if I demo a house and I just leave it all like a shit show, and then you come along, would you rather knock the house down and clean up your mess, or would you rather clean up someone else's mess? Because two things are going to happen. One, you're cleaning up someone else's mess, so it's probably not going to be organized like you would have it organized. And two, your price is still your price, regardless if you had the beginning or not. So the customer's going to be like, well, shit,
you paid twice.
I already paid them this much money. It's like, I understand that, but this is how this is my work. This is my business. So I'm not going to discount it just because you got screwed over. And I think that's going to happen a lot. You're going to see, I was just talking to you before we went live about subcontractors. The past year or two, subcontractors have been getting worse and have put a bad name on the realm of subcontractors because of the economy, how it went just skyrocket, which means materials went up, everything went up. Well, then next thing you know, everything starts to drop, and who's going to be left over? And I used to have a saying last year: if you had a subcontract that was available immediately, my first question was why? Like, not, oh, great, when can you start? It's like, wait a minute, why? How are you available? Like, dude, this is a huge business opportunity, all around, and yet you're over here with no jobs. So I think what you were spot on there, Andy, especially with this recession, I guess, whatever anybody wants to call it. The fact is things are starting to downturn, and the businesses that are set up like they should be, like a real legitimate business, those are the ones that are going to last. In my opinion, those are the ones that are going to keep going and prosper.
Well, I mean, for us here up north, it's a race to April 1, right? The economy, right? And again, we're not out doing fences, but we have other different ways. We do a lot of deconstruction in the winter, and I got a big ass warehouse full of stuff that either needs to get fixed, repaired. So there'll be hours available, and there's cash in the bank to get the guys keep them fed. Because there's a lot of guys, right? They can't, especially this when we talk about and advocate against the truck on the truck mentality of paying yourself, just doing cash jobs, things like that. You can't afford to not work often, right? You might be able to go a week or two, but you go a month. I see these guys in these Facebook groups, and it's like, oh, I had a bad week or two. I'm thinking about closing up. And it's like, fuck, I could have a bad month or two, but you have to have sustainable practices, right? And I'm not saying you need to sit on a pile of money, but if you're just easy, easy in, easy go, right? Is easy come, easy go is the problem is easy go is the backside. So if you're just a guy with a truck and you don't have a sustainable business, you don't have practices, procedures, a brand, relationships, you're going to wash out in the next 6 months.
Well, that's
like
why I got into
Andy,
demolition personally.
Yeah, that's exciting for me.
I mean, and Andy, you're in demo, and I got into demo personally because I started seeing smaller opportunities first. And that was sheds, play sets. Then it was interior work that needed to be done, walls, fireplaces, you name it. Well, then it became, hey, I have this property that has 2 really, junked out structures on it. I need it gone. And you show up and you're like, I mean, I'm not saying I can't do this. I just got to figure out how, because I have all the room for F-ups, right? I mean, if you're on a 30-acre property and there's a house, it's like, well, shit, this is a great opportunity to learn because I can only fuck up so much out here. So you take those opportunities to get better, and then you start saying, you know what? I wonder if I can do demo and be picky. So during the junk removal business, I'm not saying don't do demo. I'm just saying, be picky, because remember what comes first, right? If you're a junk removal company, make sure you master that just in case that demo job doesn't go like you planned. And I'm pretty sure you can attest to this too. Demolition, as much as people want to think it's the most profitable thing and awesome, it is not the most profitable thing and awesome sometimes. Sometimes you wake up in the morning like, holy shit, I still have to go back out there.
And I think
it is what it is, though.
Right in that outlook, we were talking a little bit before we got started here. Most of my demo work is base hits, but again, it fills in days. Like, we advertise, we focus on junk removal, we add in these ancillary services where it makes sense for us to get through. We started the site work and excavation thing in the pandemic because we're here in New Jersey. New Jersey was locked down. Like, you couldn't go in anybody's house, nobody wanted to let you in their house. So I'm sitting here with a bunch of employees, and they put out the CARES Act and mandate you pay all these people. I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is not sustainable, to Andy's point, right? Like, I need to come up with something I can do now. So we went out, we bought the skid steer, we bought the excavator, and I started talking to all my contractors. It's really so many guys tell me they don't like it. I love construction site cleanup. I love to go and just do construction debris removal. I book all those guys for Fridays. I give them my lowest rate, which here in Jersey we're charging $59 a yard. That's the best price you'll get from us. But we go out and we do it, and I have a 3-yard minimum, and I have so many of them now. I can spend all of Friday and fill my truck up multiple times with these, and I've built those relationships.
That's the key.
Yeah, that's
the key right there, because
and you go from one people that want to go one to the other, and just crank.
Yep, a little
and that's the thing. Kitchens. Yeah, because construction site cleanup is not glorious at all, but like we kind of mastered our niche because we did custom homes that were cost plus homes. So they were very high end houses that could afford our services, especially that we weren't the cheapest, but we made it more convenient for them. Hey, Fridays, that's the best day, because when you're paying $1 million plus for a house, 9 times out of 10, every weekend, you and the wife or you and the husband are going to be out there walking that property, regardless of what it looks like. But you want to make sure it's clean and safe.
You're absolutely right.
But I never.
That's it.
The profit margin's not as much as like residential, obviously, but you had to make it work like you did.
Right, but you can crank up. Yeah, right. If you go out there and haul 3 yards at $59 a yard and you go out and back, that's a tough way to make money. But if you can stack 10 jobs, one after the other, fill your truck twice. So are you running 2 trucks in tandem with the skid steer on the second truck? What does that look like?
So I don't typically take. Or
is it all handpicked?
I don't take the skid steer out without a prior appointment.
No.
But
it's all handpicked.
Yeah, what I was getting at.
Yeah, like trash boxes and stuff.
Yeah, those construction site cleanups though gave me that network and that relationship. I went to these guys and they're like, well, New Jersey, because of Hurricane Sandy a number of years ago, they're all the leader pipes are being done underground now. All the surface water, they're really worried about it. So we dig holes and install a tremendous amount of pipe, and it was low-hanging fruit. I bought the equipment. I said, guys, I need work. I want to go to work. And they're like, dude, you've always been good to us. This is what we need to do. Can you do this? And I'll be honest, like the first couple ones, I sat there on YouTube. I watched and learned,
That's why we do this podcast. Give away the answers.
Don't tell my customers this. Don't tell my customers this, but you know how many times I watch YouTube videos in an excavator?
Absolutely.
Like, how the fuck am I supposed to do this? Hold on a second.
It's true though, man. It's hustle. I'm excited to be on this show because I really do think I do some different articles I write and I post them in different places. But the one I talked about was simple math. And I started that conversation with, I'm not here for the trust fund children. I'm not here for the guys with venture-backed capital. I want to talk to the guy that wants to work for himself, that has the drive and the hustle to go out and do things. And I want to help them, show them how to do things. And YouTube's one of the secrets, man. Like, it's no joke. Like, you have a brain in your head. Are you going to make sure your customer's satisfied? That's what it comes down to. It's really, dude, ensure you're going to do a good job. That's just personal self-satisfaction. Like, hey, like, if this guy's not happy, I'm going to fix it. You commit to that, and then you go out and you learn the strategies. You figure out how to do the things you want to do. And I think the other thing is you need to be hungry, man. Like, this is how I feed my family. I work for myself. That's the only work I do. My wife works with me. We don't have anybody teaching school and getting good benefits or working in healthcare, getting good benefit. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, if you can do that, it's awesome. If it works for you, it makes sense. I'm happy. Like, this is like, I'm hungry. That's how I got into fencing, excavation, demolition, all that stuff. Because if I don't work, if my guys don't work, if my business doesn't work, I don't eat.
Right.
No, I love that. Thursday, you're 10 years in and you're hungry. You're still hungry, right? That's the other challenge I've seen. It's like guys are like 2-3 years in and they're like, "Oh, I just want to sit back now." And it's like, you sit back and do what? I get it. You might not want to be banging out fucking couches and water heaters out of basements, but you got to get hungry.
You got to keep growing, though.
You got to grow somewhere.
You have to keep growing, and that's the thing is, like you were saying, Andrew, I'm going to call you Andrew because there's two fucking Andys here, but
I like it.
And I'm fucking awesome. I'm already awesome.
But like you were saying, you had to start extending your services because you were scaling. And a lot of people don't understand how expensive growing is sometimes, but at the same time, how necessary it is. When we were growing, the one thing, I think it was in our third year, we weren't just growing within the company, we were growing outside of it as well. And we started realizing that, okay, why is every month we hit a new mile mark, right? Like, oh my gosh, we did $90,000 this month. But yet we're like, why are we not making profit? And then you look, you're like, oh, well, instead of doing 150 jobs, we did 275 jobs this month. But so did all the people that were involved, right? Like everything it's all relevant. So, sometimes extending those services, I think, is important if you do it in such a way, like you were saying. It's not like you just said, "Hey, I mastered junk removal in a year. Now I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to do that. Now I'm going to do this."
Well, you also had a catastrophic event. It's not like snow comes every year. I'm not going to get into fucking snow removal because it's like, oh, the snow came. No, it's like you weren't even allowed to do junk removal. Well, that was a point.
Well, what about? So I think you have an attachment for snow on your skid steer, isn't that right, Andrew?
Yes, I do. I do plow snow as well. It's again not big business. I don't do any contracts, but when it snows in Jersey, junk removal shuts down. Like I can put a guy out in the skid steer, I put myself out in the truck, and we go out and make a couple bucks for a couple of days, and it keeps things moving forward. And listen, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited because I think a lot of your listeners are guys. And correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of these guys are just starting out. They haven't figured it out, and I think that conversation about scale is extremely important. Find a set of balls and go out and buy shit. Spend the money. Don't be a coward. And don't overthink it. Like, put it in a spreadsheet and scare the shit out of yourself. There's 3 things in life I think you'll never do if you put them in a spreadsheet and write down numbers. You'll never buy a house, you'll never have kids, and you'll never own your own business. That's it. Like,
hey, Dave, no. Here's my a contributing factor. I love me some fucking Excel spreadsheets. I love documenting everything, but here's the deal. I tell people all the time, this is a starting point. This is one piece of information, right? Like one of my demo customers, I've been doing consulting with them for about a year. They hemmed and hawed about a dump trailer for a fucking year, right? And then 6 months, I'm hearing the husband say, we fucking need it, and the wife saying no. So finally, husband calls me, and he's like, hey, it's just you and me this week, no wife. He's like, give me a fucking spreadsheet so I can hand it to her to put her at ease so I can buy this fucking dump trailer. All right, sounds good. Right? So we spent an hour, did a cost-benefit analysis, did a break-even point, and it's like they had to haul 3.5 loads a week, or sorry, 3.5 loads a month. That's it. 3.5 loads a month on top of their demo services to the break-even. Because to your point, scared. Now, me in my head, I'm like, buy a fucking dump trailer. Like, I already know the math is good, right? Hillbilly math says it's a good idea. You already got a truck. The bigger expense is already there. Like, entrepreneurship is not the logical, safe, Excel spreadsheet fucking route to live your life. But once you make the decision, then put the fucking data on a spreadsheet, get smart on like Profit First or some system, and then execute at a high level. It can't be your end all be all. It's the knowledge to do it effectively. Because the flip side is, I'm going to buy this $90,000 truck. But he's like, well, how many jobs can I do in a month to break even? I don't know, a lot. Well, that ain't a good, right? Like,
yeah.
So I love what you're saying. You're right. If you put everything in a spreadsheet, logic will tell you don't even fucking leave your door because you might get hit by lightning, right? Like, and hell, look, all three of us joined the military. That ain't a good fucking choice.
No.
If you want to live long and prosper like fucking Spock. Jesus, Spock. But we're like, fuck it, right? Like, someone asked me recently, like, why'd you join the military? I'm like, because I wanted to kill people. Like, that's why I thought, like, that was a no shit. 18-year-old Andy was like, I don't know, go to war and kill people. That seems like what you should do. Turns out, not a way to live your life, at least not for me, right? It's for somebody, not for everybody. But you have to make choices that don't fit Excel spreadsheet fucking boxes.
Oh, you have to. Well, and if ever, like he said, grow some balls. Well, here's the other thing. If you're already in your own business, that means you did something for yourself. You had a reason to bet on yourself. And the biggest enemy you're going to have is yourself, because you're going to see things. You're like, oh, well, I don't know. I'm going to second guess myself. Next thing you know, you're going to miss those opportunities. Andy, I talked about this the other day. Everybody gets this around the same opportunities. It all depends on what you do with them,
Oh, yeah.
Like,
every day everyone has forks in the road. Yeah.
Every single day. And the other thing is, the reason I personally liked demolition is because I could do it in a way that fit my needs. Now, you have other people out there like, oh, I'm going to do this huge demo, and now I'm going to be a demolition company. And then they do that, and they're like, well, shit, that lasted 3 months. Well, why'd you do it? Oh, because I did a demo. So what? Like, I get it. Doesn't mean you have to switch and just do one thing the entire time. Now, on the flip side, there's a big difference between snow removal during the season, of course, and demo services, site prep. Site prep's huge down here. Holy shit. My problem is down here, site prep is like, you have to be cheap, because you're going to get beat left and right, at least down here, because it's Texas, man. And let's just be honest, construction down here is booming all the time, and you either have all the contracts or you're just a hustler, because it's hard to meet the needs sometimes, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like to your point, you got a machine, use it.
And I think you're 100% right. And go digress a little back to what you said. Like, I am picky. I'm not the guy for everybody. If you want quality, good communication, you want the shit done tidy, I'll stay on schedule. I'm the guy you call. My attorney told me one time, you can have things fast, cheap, or good, and the best you're ever going to get is 2 out of 3. And I use that to run my whole life. Here's what I am. I'm good, and I'm fast. I sure as hell ain't cheap. That's where it is, and that's the model. But yeah, I'll tell you, and I don't want to discount Excel spreadsheets either. I love them. I know it's something Casey's doing, and I have a coach, and I don't know if you want to coach really early on, but I do think having a coach once you get to a point is worth it. And my coach is exceptionally good at spreadsheets and calculating the numbers. And he works with my wife. My wife's name is Raven, and Raven's extremely analytical. She does our marketing, does a really good job with that stuff. I'm the operator. I'm the go-getter. And I think you have to have that balance. Like, nowadays I can
you're the Marine though, right?
What's that?
Yeah.
You're the Marine, right? Hey, Marine, there's a heavy rock. I need it gone. Me, Marine, me lift. That's it.
Absolutely.
Your wife plans it out, right?
Yeah,
that's how it was with me. I mean, I was infantry guy, right? Like, hey, I have trash. I need it gone. Okay, yes, I will do it right now. Pick up trash and leave. That's how I was.
And I'm the Excel spreadsheet. I had a brother that could fucking lift heavy things and carry them out of houses. So I was the sitting behind the computer from day one guy, which worked for us. And even to this day, it now works with our president. And now he's surrounding himself with people that have different architect types as him, because it does take all those types. But again, you got to make, as an entrepreneur, I like what you said, don't get cheap. You got to make complicated decisions simple. And if what information you need is what's going to simplify it, right? Whether it's YouTube or an Excel spreadsheet, go get the knowledge you need to confidently make the decision and then make it. One of the biggest challenges I've seen with guys in drunk pool, it's like they half-ass it. It's like, for prime example, they get the truck, they get the insurance, they get the trailer, But then they're like, I don't know how to price it. And they're on fucking Facebook every other day asking how much to price a goddamn job. And it's like, dude, like, make it simple. How much you charge for, like, look at you. You're like $59 a cubic yard for construction debris. Right? Carry the one. You're good to hook. Right?
Yeah.
$177 minimum. And then hold the fucking line. Otherwise, you're like, oh, I'm gonna discount it because it's outside. Oh, I'm gonna discount it because I got some recyclables. Oh, I'm gonna discount it. People ask me all the time, how much you charge? By cubic yardage. Well, what if it's nice stuff? Cool. By cubic yardage. What if it's crap in the basement smalls? You got to put them in boxes. By cubic yardage.
Plus
labor. What if I put it in the driveway? By cubic yardage. Because it all washes. Because my prices they hold true. And even our general manager at first, he's like, well, what about this scenario? And I'm like, unless it's a piano, a fucking hot tub, or a play set, I price by cubic yardage.
My favorite was the Baxters. Well, it's already in a bag. I'm like, doesn't matter. It's all about volume.
Great. Great. You know what I got to do? I got to take it out of the fucking bag. And then I'll give you your $30 bag back.
I've never had a Baxter, by the way. I've never had a Baxter full of easy shit. It's always tile.
Oh my God. It's too fucking it's shingles. It's shingles and fucking drywall and plaster.
And you can't use a shovel with tile or shingles.
No. And a neighbor's dog took a shit in it because it's been sitting into the driveway for a month.
So first of all, there's a reason Waste Management won't pick it up, right? Like that's why I'm calling you. And I'll tell you what,
you weren't their first choice. Let's not forget, you weren't their first choice. They already told you that.
And they all say the same thing. I thought they would pick it up.
Yeah, that's great. There you go, thinking again.
Even that's a great example, though. So we pick them up with a hook lift and we throw them in a container. We got a pretty good system for dealing with those bagsters. We don't do a ton of them.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, dude, you're going to go on that Facebook group and you're going to ask that question. Go on wastemanagement.com, put in your zip code. They literally will tell you how much they're charging to pick it up. It's a no-brainer. Here, the first Bagster I think is $220. So I'm not doing it for anything less than $300 because I know Waste Management won't come.
No.
And
down here, they just don't show up. That's just plain and simple.
Yeah, we charge. I was saying to your point, we charge $279 for a Bagster. It's a quarter trailer because that's what cubic yardage says it is. And again, weight will tell you otherwise. Like weight's a pain in the ass. And we have special price. I think $299 or $319 because we do charge like if it's straight construction debris, we charge extra because it's heavier and it's fucking smaller.
Yeah.
So that's the only specialties charge we have on construction debris. And 3/4 of the time we don't even use it because whatever, we're there to take care of our customers. But it's for the jobs are shit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think
we actually started keeping them.
The Bagsters?
Yeah, man.
Oh, you can use them to drag deer. You ever deer hunt?
Oh, we would just throw stories. We would have all the tools that you need in the bed of your truck would go in the Bagster.
Yeah. Yeah, not bad.
I want to just buy some Bagsters, put my brand on them, throw them in the local Ace Hardware stores, and start picking them up myself. But
there you go.
I think the alternative is you can buy those things on Alibaba.com pretty cheap. I've been shopping them. I just got to pull the trigger one day. But I think going back to Andy's point, dude, cubic yards is how you make your money. That's the other thing I see a lot of times is guys try to do by weight. You're cutting yourself out of your margin. Your money.
Unless you have a scale on your truck.
Yeah.
Correct. You got to weight or even time and material. The problem with time and material is, right, if you're doing it by time, they're gonna want you to go faster and harder. Right? You want your guys to be efficient to start with. Right? The problem is you can price by one of three things, right? It is based on your costs, right? Based off of a pro forma, right? This is my expect, or you price it based on the customer's value. That's it. Those are the only three ways you can price. I don't care if it's fucking consulting, a goddamn book, right? Like here, I got a book, gung ho. I got to read this fucking book. I haven't read it yet, right? This book is not based off of the paper, like it printed and the hours it took to write the book. It is the value, right? If this book is $9, $9 fucking dollars, I'm into this book. Is this book going to provide me $9 of value? That's all that matters.
Yeah.
And when you do cubic yardage, you just make it simple. This is the value I'm bringing to you. Now, doesn't matter what the material is. Doesn't matter how long it's going to take me. Doesn't matter what truck I'm going to send. The value to you is this stuff goes away, and I don't introduce it directly to a landfill.
Well, and for the owner, for the business owner, down here in Texas, everything's all the landfills, all the disposals is based on weight, right? I think most places are like that, except for Milwaukee. For some reason, they don't charge you weight, do they?
Yeah, no problem. No. Here's the problem: when we go to the landfill, is it's a fixed rate, so it's $20 fuel fee, $30 environmental fee, plus $60 a ton.
We have all these minimum fees before you even trash anything.
Oh yeah, great. You have a one ton minimum, so I'm $115.60 just walking to the landfill.
Yeah, we were like
one
108.
fucking pound of material. Yeah, because it's fixed plus variable. So if I do go to the landfill, like we have 2 dump trucks that if we haul construction debris or straight MSW from hoarder houses, I want to maximize the weight because the fixed cost, right? Not just the fixed cost to drive in the landfill, fixed cost to drive to the landfill is still fixed, right? So you want to maximize the variable to reduce the overall cost per cubic yard on
I literally
blended average.
I talked to the dumpster company today, a dumpster company. They're trying to get into junk removal, and that conversation came up, and I was like, "Look, I'm gonna tell you right now, dumpster companies hate guys like me." And they're like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Because dumpster companies get paid on airspace. I'm that guy who eliminates airspace when I'm using a dumpster. Like, yeah, I know there's gonna be extra fees, but I've already done the math, and it's worth it if I pack the shit out of that dumpster because that per ton goes down.
Make that 40 fucking scream. Oh yeah, make that 40 scream."
Like Tabitha, she was on here, and I don't know how many times she called me and be like, cussing me out. My own dumpster lady, cussing me out. Like, the truck was doing wheelies trying to get that thing up. And I was like, well, did he get it out? And she goes, yeah. I was like, well, why are you calling me? I don't understand. It's like, you're at 19 tons. I was like, it seemed to work. I'll make it lighter next time. Sorry. You know?
It's I think the other cool thing about filling the truck and getting that weight in there, though, relative to the volume, is it's a metric. I talked to my friend Casey down here. He has stand-up guys, and that's one of the metrics he measures on. How many loads can you put in a truck before you take it to the dump? Like, dude, if you start thinking about metrics and how you measure and how you pay your guys, like, it's just genius. Like, and like you said, Andy, you got to motivate the guys, keep them efficient. How do you motivate the guys? I take my guys out Friday night. Let's go have some beers. And I'll tell you what, that couple $100 bill, I'm making a couple thousands because they show up every day and they work hard. They like coming to work. That's the game.
The best thing you can do for your guys, food and drinks. Yeah. I'm going to tell you now, we did a job for a barbecue joint that was closing down. And we go there all the time. He's like, hey, man, how much is this going to be? And I was like, it was all stainless steel appliances. And I was like, $300, man. Like, let's just call it that. And he goes, okay. He goes, would you rather have $300 cash or $300 in gift certificates to here? And I go, gift certificates. He goes, really? I go, yeah. I'm going to get money for the scrap. But those $300 gift certificates, that feeds my guys for a while. And they were
it also forces you. It forces you to give them the gift cards right away, which is like it's a turn and burn. All right, so 2 things. I got to step off. This is where I'm at. 2 things. First thing, you said metrics, all about KPIs. Know your fucking numbers. You might not love them, but you got to know them, right? You got the data. Second thing, this conversation's going great. I have to step away because I got to go to the hallowed ground, the place where people kiss other people's feet. Little place we like to call Lambeau Field. I talked about at the top of the show. I'm headed up there to do a re-enlistment ceremony. No big deal. Can't be late. Not going to fuck up this opportunity. Catch me at halftime. Watch Monday Night Football. By the time this airs, obviously, it'll be like 3 weeks later. And the play, like the Cowboys, by the time this episode airs, the Cowboys will already be eliminated from the playoffs. No big deal. Sorry about you. All right. So this is what I'm going to do. You know what? We're doing something, Andy Barton, that we've never done before. Casey's going to land the ship by himself, right? So you guys can keep the conversation going. He's going to fucking say the words. Keep it going. I'll review the episode, right? I'll make sure you guys don't fuck it up too bad, right? So every other episode, I've ran the thing. This is me demonstrating my leadership ability, right? To lead the leader, right? Next man up. So I just got shot in the face, and now Casey, you're next man up.
And now you're about to go to Lambeau Field and shoot someone else in the face. You want to serve for more years? Here you go.
For the record, they already signed the dotted line. They already said, I want to do the thing. And I was like, all right, man, I'm here to process the paperwork. You're welcome.
Take to this graveyard that they call Lambeau Field.
Let me tell you. No, let me tell you something. There's a difference between a career counselor whose job is retention and a recruiter.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference.
That's true. That's true.
Recruiters can lie to you, tell you how the cheeseburger tastes. I can't fucking lie to you. Right? You done did this for 6 years.
You ate the burger.
Right? if you think I can tell you something you don't already know in 6 years, you're gullible as fuck. Because after 6 years, you already done know.
So before you go, Andy, here's how I look at re-enlisting into the military. It's like that restaurant that's right around the corner from your work. You hate it, but it's right there. Like, you know what it's going to do to you. You know your stomach pains is going to happen. But for some reason, every week, you're still going to the same damn place.
Dude, I told you,
just got to go.
Dude, I've taken you to the Butler Inn before. The Butler Inn right here in Butler, Wisconsin. Shout out. Not a sponsor. I tell people, this is, I got one fucking joke. I've used it 700 times. Here's my joke. I'm like, Butler Inn. Never had a bad meal there. Also, never had a good meal there. So, we're just shaking the dice. That's it.
Yeah.
Never had, and that's the thing. You might get, you might not feel great about yourself afterwards, but at the moment, you're like, you know what? Good enough.
Does it look like a chicken fried steak? Then eat it.
Yeah. That ain't a chicken fried steak, let me tell you. All right, so you guys finish the show. Taylor's here to press the buttons in case you screw it up. I got to turn off the video. How do I fucking turn off? Jeez, Taylor's here. Press the button. Camera. All right, I'm off. All right, go say words. Land the ship, and I'll hear about it later.
Yeah, that sounds good. Well, and, one thing I do want to continue talking about with you, Andy, is Andy Barten. So, you said have balls. And the reason I like this is because most business owners, right, they come out there, their chest is all puffed out. They're ready to take on the world. I own my own business. I can do this. I can do that. But they never stop and think, how do I get through myself, right? How do I get out of the stubborn me? I see this all the time because especially when you've perfected something, whether it's a service or a way to do one of your jobs, the last thing you want to do is hand it off. And everybody that I talk to, they always ask, how do I get people? How do I get someone that I can rely on? How do I get someone that can help me grow this business? The plain and simple answer is there's never going to be a person that is passionate like you in your business. That's just plain and simple. No worker, no employee. I mean, it may be a spouse or a partner, but for the most part, you're never going to find a guy or a girl to work for you that's going to share that passion that you have. So what I say is have balls and start trusting others because that's all you can do, right?
I think you're 100% right.
Yeah.
I think the other side of that is like I have these same sort of conversations. Like I'm an entrepreneur through and through. You guys are focusing on junk removal. Obviously, junk removal is one of my passions. But like I talk to guys all the time that want to work for themselves, and they get stuck in that really small scale. Like they're doing 100, 200, 250 a year, and they, well, I can't afford an employee. You can't not afford an employee. Like suck it up, pay these people. Like, dude, you might have to eat ramen noodles. Maybe you don't eat at all. I don't give a shit. Like if you really want to go somewhere, if you want to be able to do something, you have to commit to following the process. Go out, hire them.
Oh, absolutely.
Make sure they get paid, reward them, and then you go out and do your job and build the business. Find more work, do more jobs.
Yeah, and that's, and also there's going to be people out there that are okay with being owner-operator for years to come. Like they're okay with that, and that's fine. We're not saying that, hey, you know what, if that's what you want to do, that's great. You can still grow within your company. But at the same time, yeah, if you're satisfied, absolutely. But for me, and I guarantee you can agree with me on this, no matter how young you are limited. If you're going to be growing and building a badass business in this industry, you're limited because your body is the number one thing that's going to say, hey, guess what, guys, I need a fucking break, right? I mean, when I started my junk removal company, I was late 20s, and I'm only 34 now. But, man, I could tell you right now, a couple of years ago, I had to draw the line. I had to somehow get out of the truck, not just for business, but for personal. I mean, if I didn't get out of the truck, for one, my business is going to fail. It's going to suffer the consequences of me being in the truck all the time, doing everything. But for number two, if I get hurt, my business stops. It shuts down. If I break a leg, if I pull my back. And that's the other thing is when you're growing, you have to put your business first. Now, you said you have 14 people in your staff, in your crew. I think my rolling number that I was always at was around 12. My highest was 21. It was a fucking nightmare, by the way. But my average was probably around 10 or 12. And what I found was you'll be surprised, the younger generation, how much they appreciate responsibility over dollars sometimes. 100%. Right? Especially you have those gung-ho 20-something-year-olds. Yeah, $1 more an hour is great. If you're doing your business right, $1 more an hour is not much. But for them, what motivates them more? Is it that extra buck? Or is it, hey, now you're in charge of this crew, right? Now you're in charge of, at the end of every single day, before you clock out, I want to make sure you have a count on all the equipment. Or make sure that all the crews checked in whatever materials. And they start getting this spark in. I'm like, man, the boss, he trusts me to do this extra task. He relies on me to do this extra task. Can you speak a little on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're hitting it right on the head, Casey. It's and it's funny because I've never really thought about it or spoken about it before, but I think you're absolutely right. Like, I talk about it in passing, but my guys have so much autonomy, and I'll tell you what, like, we have very limited HR, and I don't mean it in a bad way. Like, I don't personally love HR. Like, I think it's a little overdone, but I do think there's a place for it. But my guys are able to speak freely to anybody, to me. Like, we don't have a tremendous hierarchy, you know. We have a couple of guys that are quote unquote foremen. We have me there as a boss, but I'll tell you what, like, we just built a culture like that. Like, if you have something to say, just say it. You want to swear at me, you want to tell me I'm an idiot, a moron, your job is safe. You can do that. Tell me
we got a yard for a reason.
Yeah, that's it. But, but dude, if there's something I can do better, like, last thing I want you to do is not tell me because you think I hold some authority over you. And it goes all the way down the line, and that's how we operate a business. But we're huge on autonomy. I don't micromanage. I'm sitting at my house down in Florida. The guys are working. I talk to them on the phone when I need to talk to them or they need to talk to me, and we're out getting things done. We've put technology in place. We've put processes and systems in place, and you're absolutely right. That's what they want, man. Like, most of my guys, honestly, they live at home with their parents. Like, I don't think money is their biggest motivator at all. What they want is a little respect, a little freedom. They want to be able to come to work without having to worry about getting bitched at constantly, without having to worry about doing the wrong thing. Like, dude, I can't tell you how many dents and dings I've fixed because they hit shit. My rule is just don't lie to me. You hit it, be a man, be a woman.
Golly, man.
Call me. Hey, dude, I did this. I'm an idiot. I might bitch at you, but I'm not going to fire you. Your job is safe. If you lie to me, you're gone. You're out, you know?
So my yard guy, he actually was in Iraq with me. He was in the Army with me. He was crazy, man. Like, when we got out of the military, we didn't talk for 5-6 years. And somehow I found out he lived close by, and I just started my business. He probably made the most petty bullshit mistakes just from not thinking, right? Like, I paid a big-ass hospital bill for him because there was a big, long board, and he put it on the trailer, and he stomped on it, and it popped up, split his lip open, right? And since I wasn't on the job site, one of my other guys who was actually in school to be an EMT, he thought he should call 911 immediately because this guy's bleeding a lot. So I had to pay for the ambulance ride to the hospital, all that bullshit. But the first person to call me was him. Every single mistake he ever made, the first person to tell me was him. It was never like, who did this? Who did that? I never had to ask questions with him. And one time we had a guy, he clipped one of those barriers at the gas station, those poles.
Yep.
Just really screwed up the back fender of one of our trucks. And no one told me. But at the end of the day, everybody goes through the same process. We check out the trucks, walk around it, make sure, everything's up to par. And then you see this big ass dent and scuff. You're like, holy crap. Like, you don't just not know that you did this. So I had to do what everybody doesn't like doing. I had to call everybody outside and go through the whole process. Then finally I narrowed it down. I said, look, I know who was in this truck and trailer today. It's right here on the board. So it was either one of y'all. I know who was the driver, but since I didn't see it, I'm going to let you be a fucking man and tell me. And, he argued with me for a little bit. And finally he was like, all right, yeah, I did it, but I don't understand why this guy's still here. And I said, here's why he's still here. I never had to question who did it because he always let me know, hey, I'm sorry. I fucked up the sledgehammer or whatever. And you know what? He always offered to pay for it or fix it. He busted a back window out, threw a wheelbarrow in the bed of the truck too, aggressively, and it bounced and he knocked the window out. Guess who called me? He did. Guess who paid for it? He did. So the trust, the communication is huge. And a lot of these guys are scared of getting in trouble. And it's like, look, don't be scared of getting ass chewing because every person, man or woman, if you're responsible, you're going to get your ass chewed at some point in your life. Yeah. Right. And I find that
one attaboy cancels out 10 aw shits. Or no, one,
yeah, exactly.
10 attaboys cancels out 1 aw shit.
No, absolutely. And that's the thing. It's like, you know those people you get onto and then the next day they quit because they got their feelings hurt. But then you have some people that get motivated by that, and like you said, I told everybody, you can always come talk to me, but I'm going to tell you right now, if I get a phone call from a driver about something petty like a flat tire, you know who I'm going to bitch out? my operations manager, not the driver. And then the operations manager is going to be like, holy crap, I didn't know. And I'm like, I know you didn't know. You know why? Because you're not doing your job. At the same time, if anybody ever has issues with each other, I always told everybody, look, we have an acre yard. That's where we have all our crap. You know, if anybody wants to ever be a man and think that they have to escalate this, and they want to call out a fellow employee, we have a yard. And it only came down to it one time. So I took the guys out there, everybody worked with me. We all went out there. I said, hey, David, and I think his name was Joseph. I was like, they have issues with each other and they want to deal with it out here. It ended with a handshake and talk. They never swung because they pussied out. They were all talk until they're given the opportunity to, hey, if y'all think y'all are men, because that's what they wanted to do, right? They wanted to deal with it like that. They wanted to fight. And I'm like, look, I don't have time for this crap. We're going to go sell this right now in a very close environment. Was it the right thing? I don't know. Judge me now. I don't care. But when we got out there, those two didn't do anything. They just sat there and then talked about it, and they shook hands. And I was like, you are fucking bitches, man.
Well, I'll tell you, like, yeah, I don't even want to go that far. Like, just settle your stuff. Like, I don't even want to know about it. I don't have time for that shit. Right. I'm not a peer counselor. I'm not a psychologist. Like, I got, like, you know, I'm probably not even emotional. But, you know, like, that's part of the business culture. And I think, I do think that's why we have a lot of success, is because these guys are able to speak freely and go out and kind of do their own thing. I like it a lot. You know, I think it's something to consider when you do start building teams. But it's
so we'll touch on one more thing before we head out, because we'll head out here in a couple minutes. But the last thing I want to kind of touch on that I noticed, I looked at your Facebook, you know, a little bit, just kind of give me a little bit of preface and when we start talking here. But, you know, I see you have different services like you mentioned. How important is it to you? And so you can tell all of our listeners as well, how important is it to not just work with other business owners, but to recognize other business owners during your marketing? Whenever you're doing work, whenever you're doing an advertisement, or you're at an event, how important do you think it is to recognize other business owners that you're collaborating with in your marketing?
I think it's extremely important. I think you just have to be careful with it. You know, what happens to us is because where we fall in the chain, like, you know, we work with real estate agents. Obviously, every junk removal company does. My problem is I can't really promote just one. You know what I mean? Like, it's not good for the business in that fashion. But we're a really small town. You know, we market everywhere. We work with everybody. We know everybody. I was watching one of your shorts there right before we got on the call, and I thought it was just a great point, the way independent owner operators treat each other, and that's how you have to be, man. Like, you know, you're in business. You're not arch enemies. You know, even my competitors are not my arch enemies. Like, I'm not offended by it. What I hate is the fly-by-night guys. I want to go out and compete with people on the same plane. Like, you have the insurance, you have the right equipment, you have the right licenses. You know, like, I don't mind losing a job to that guy. I hate losing a job to the guy that's just rolling around and deciding he wants to do this on a whim. But, you know, outside of that, man, like, you know, I know every business owner in town, and they know me. And if I can throw them a bone somewhere, I throw them a bone. You know, and I think that's just good practice. Absolutely.
Well, it goes back to what you said earlier too. Spend money where it needs to be spent, and I think, if you're going to be out there crying about being a small business owner in hard times, well, how much are you supporting your fellow small business owners? Because the lockdown, it didn't happen too bad here in Texas. I mean, it happened briefly, but Texas is a little gung ho. We're like, fuck that, like, you know. But the one thing that we all try to do our best is make sure we go to the local mom and pop shops as much as possible, even if it was more expensive, because it comes around and they're going to remember that. And they're going to say, hey, man, you know, the Barten Brothers junk removal, man, they really helped us out. I mean, yeah, they didn't pay our bills, but they showed their support when it was needed. So we want to show our support when it's needed.
You shop local, and the other thing that we are able to do that I really take a lot of pride in, man, I'll go out of my way to help somebody in a bind if they're local. You know, like, I may not even look at the guy, hey, I'm so-and-so from such and such construction company. I just ended up with a big issue here. I got to find the town wants this shit cleaned up before the weekend. I'll go out of my way. We'll get over there. It'll get done, you know. And that sort of thing goes a long way too. Just being available, being helpful. Like, yeah, maybe it's not what you want to do. For a prime example, I flew down here on Thursday, and I think I got home at 4 o'clock. I was supposed to leave for the airport at 6:30. My neighbor down the street called me and said, I got my sewers backed up. Sewer line's broken. Can you help? Like, what's the answer? You have to go help. You know what I mean? Like, we made the airport in the nick of time, but just that type of mentality, you know. And I'll send him that bill, and he's going to pay me. But, you know, it just, dude, it's that goodwill is tremendous, and just realizing
Plus, you don't know what it's doing for them. You know, and it may be it may be nothing to you. You may be, oh, it's no big deal. But you never know how much of a big deal it is to them.
Exactly.
People give Texas a hard time because it's Texas. And last year we had a big freeze and it shut us down for like a week. It's terrible. Well, I actually happened to be in the lumber business at the time as well. I had a side gig selling raw lumber. And I opened up my gates and I was like, hey, look, you need firewood? Come on in. Take as much as you can. Because at that point I was like, I don't care, dude. It's just lumber. Like you can take it, burn it, keep warm. But anyways, yeah. So to wrap it up, look, key takeaways, metrics. Obviously we talked about that earlier. It was badass. KPIs are everything. Numbers don't lie. Numbers are not emotional, right? Numbers don't have a bias. Numbers are right there in front of you and they'll tell you the story. And then also have some balls. When you make these decisions as a business owner, I feel like if you don't have some sort of, integrity in yourself saying, hey, look, I have to make hard decisions just like I have to make good decisions. But the hard decisions are what you're truly tested on. I think it's how you build your business. And then also support your other business owners. I mean, create that team of, local vibes, local business owners. That's who's going to carry you through the storm. Here in 3 days, we're having temperatures that are going to dip down to 10 degrees. Now, it may not be much for you northerners, but that's fucking apocalyptic down here, right? And we're going to have 2 days of that. So a lot of people are going to stop. Like, they're going to stop doing everything, stop working and everything. And it may only be 2 days, but guess what? These small businesses are going to feel it. So, yeah, get out there and support. What else? Do you have any last-minute things you want to put out there before we
I think
hop off?
General, right? Persevere. Be persistent. Like, times are going to get hard. That's what it is. Like, you took the jump. You became your own business owner. You decided to invest in yourself in that capacity. If you're doing it full time, you're an entrepreneur. You likely have more ambition than you have experience, and that's fine. So, like you said, make those decisions. Buy the stuff you need to scale. Go out and work hard, and just keep pushing. Like, there's days it's going to suck, right? Like, dude, you just got to get over the hump, go out and start again, work on it the next day, figure out what you're doing wrong, and start working on it, try and make it right, and move forward. That's the gist.
Especially in this industry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're never going to get the easy jobs are always wanted, but the jobs you remember are the ones that you're like, holy shit, this sucked. But after it was done, you're like, I'm glad I pushed through. Andy, I appreciate you being on today. What were you going to say?
I'm agreeing with you. Like every time, man. Like that's push through, get it done.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with the veteran mentality as well, which we could probably do a whole another episode on that, but. I appreciate you being on here and speaking out to all of our listeners and telling kind of your story and what you're all about, and hopefully this winter's not too brutal. I know it's going to be brutal for us down here because that's just how it is, it seems. But, from all of us here at the Trash Talk Business Podcast, I don't have the voice like Andy to make it really pop. But, hey, we appreciate it and keep kicking ass out there. And for all you listeners, go and like our Facebook page if you haven't already. Go also and request to join our VIP business owners group as well. We put out some solid gold information in there. And as always, thanks for watching and listening.
Thank you for having me, guys.